I set a boundary on my wife's hangouts, instead I found out. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you won't miss another cheating story goes live. My wife, 30F, and I, 30M, have been a rough few months. Lately I've been having anxiety and struggling with the line between trust and setting healthy boundaries and wanted to seek some advice. In short, my wife has become really close with a male coworker, often going out binge drinking one-on-one for 5+ hours. She assures me that it's not like that and she's really disappointed that I would even think she would be unfaithful. I don't know where the line is between overreacting/trust issues and setting healthy boundaries. See below for longer context. My wife and I moved across the country 3 years ago for her work. Her office environment has become really stressful and toxic with managers that gaslight and undermine her team. She's become really close with a male teammate. Over the pandemic he and his girlfriend hung out with us a lot. They've showed us cool places around the city, camped with us for a couple's weekend a few times. On one of these trips last year, my wife and her coworker stayed up until 5 a.m. drinking and talking when the rest of us went to sleep. It gave me some anxiety to see that at the time, but I brushed it off. A few months ago, my wife and I decided we wanted to move back to be closer to family, and she found a job back home. Once this was a done deal, things started to change between her and her coworker. They hung out much more frequently. She said she wanted to maximize the time she had here with friends, but didn't do that with her other friends and coworkers. Early November, the three of us get a couple drinks on a Sunday night. I decide to leave to go make dinner and get to bed by a decent time, but the two of them stay out. I'm a little peeved by this, but she wants to keep socializing. I wake up at 2 a.m. and find that she's still not home. She won't answer my texts or calls, so I start to drive to the few usual hangs to look for her. She eventually answers a call at 3 a.m. and drunkenly slurs that she's going to get an Uber home. I insist on picking her up, but she hangs up. Finally she gets home at 5 a.m. saying something bad happened, that her coworker left and a couple guys at the bar were harassing her. She left, didn't know where she was, and called her coworker who helped her get an Uber home. During a later discussion, she told me another detail that she initially omitted. She went back to his place to sober up before getting the Uber. During this conversation, she says she doesn't want to drink anymore. I ask what I can do to support her, if she needs me to check in and make sure she's okay. She's floored that I would even offer because it's her mistake. Later that week, she goes out with her coworker after work, but after a few hours I get antsy and show up at the bar where they are. She's frustrated by this but says I can't be mad after I point out the support system I offered. 2 weeks later, same story. We're all hanging out in a big group on a Sunday afternoon. After we get back home, she immediately turns around and goes back out the door saying her coworker wants to get drinks. I feel weird about it but don't have the time to process it before she's gone. This time, she doesn't come home until the next morning. I tried calling numerous times throughout the night. She eventually answers a text asking if she's alive at 4 a.m. with yes. I'm alive, but doesn't answer any more calls or texts. At this point I've packed a bag ready to leave to go stay at a hotel and feared the worst, but she makes it home around 8 a.m. before I've left. She said she got too drunk and decided it would be best to stay the night on her co-worker's couch. I tell her I'm not okay with her sleeping in another man's home, that this severely damages my trust in her, and that I need her to communicate with me where she is and when she expects to be home in these situations. She's extremely apologetic about it, and says she doesn't want to drink again. She meets her coworker a couple days later to tell him, allegedly, that she can't drink with him anymore, that she can't be responsible. A mere 1 week later, she goes out with the girls from work after work on a Monday. 11 p.m. comes and goes, I get worried, and find her at a different bar, alone with the coworker. I make a scene and eventually get her to come home with me. She's furious that I won't trust her, says maybe marriage isn't for me, and that she can't be policed like this. I insisted on being updated on when she changes location when going out, if nothing else, for safety purposes, but she doesn't even see the point in that. The next morning, we make up. I try to understand her social needs and look inward at myself thinking maybe I just have trust and jealousy issues. A couple more times over the next month, I become okay with her drinking with her coworker and she always makes it home by a decent time. On one occasion that I said I didn't feel comfortable about it, she obliged and stayed home. I can't shake feeling off about their whole relationship. Whenever I bring it up, my wife gets frustrated that I don't trust her. I get frustrated that she doesn't even remember prior conversations we had because she was too drunk. Next week, she's going back to that city to visit her friends and go to a bridal shower. I know she'll see her good male coworker, and I should be okay with this. Should I insist that they don't meet alone? She has said that she gets along with him best when alone because he's more open and acts differently than when in groups. Should I insist that it not involve alcohol? That seems silly to me, but I don't know how to find the line between feeling overly jealous and setting healthy boundaries. I decided I want to see an individual therapist to help me deal with these feelings and anxieties. We've seen a couples therapist online which felt a bit generic. They gave us some good strategies on how to approach conflict and strengthen our relationship, but it never really gave me closure or understanding of the events up until now. The therapist didn't agree with my wife's behavior, but she dismissed him as being old-fashioned. Update: I finally got some trickle truths last night from my wife. I set a clear boundary with her that she wasn't to drink alone with her friend back in the South when she went to visit for a bridal shower last weekend. We recently moved up north. She told me her story of what she did that weekend, purely innocent. I got the suggestion to contact the dude's girlfriend. I didn't want to at first, but boy am I glad I did. I asked if she ever felt off about these two. She says, yeah, we've talked about it, but he swears they're just good friends. She mentioned she wasn't happy that my wife slept at his place this past weekend. Whoa, what? Question mark. Then I confronted my wife, who doubled down on the same lies. Then I showed her the receipts. She then changes her story to, okay, I hung out with him but we didn't drink and you said that was okay. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd be upset. I'm like, you were just drinking in a group. You think it's okay to go home with this dude just because you didn't keep drinking? Question mark. Then it was, I don't remember where we went, I was too drunk. After a lot of prying, pointing out lies and inconsistencies, it became we kissed, then we made out for an hour and then I have feelings for him I don't know what to do with, and then we kissed back in November, too. Who knows what she's still hiding, but that's enough for me. I honestly don't see a way out of this that includes us still being married. I left the house and checked into a hotel. I've been having so much anxiety since seeing all the red flags since November. Finally getting some validation after all the gaslighting is a huge relief. It feels 100% better to ask around and risk being wrong and looking like an asshole than to enable the gaslighting and tear apart your mental health while doing it. Alcoholism is a bitch and get some therapy to deal with it, but that's not an excuse for cheating. Here are some of the best comments from our community. Adults don't have sleepovers to kiss. That is a bald-faced lie. Time to take your dignity back from that poor excuse of a woman and leave. No kids, no brainer. She's been fucking him for months. Divorce her. You need support. A lawyer. Honestly, I felt bad for you reading your last post. I can't understand how you let her do any of the things she was doing and didn't throw her out. Don't be her doormat, man. She's not worth it. And you certainly didn't get the truth. Kind of obvious from your previous post that she was having sex with him. A blind, deaf mute on a corner of Karachi, Pakistan could have figured that out. But she also says she has feelings for him. Are you going to do the pick-me dance, as it's called? You know, the one where you put your dignity, self-respect, manhood away. If you decide to stay, you have to lay down some concrete boundaries that you are prepared to enforce, including walking away and moving on. If you aren't prepared to enforce consequences, then be prepared to continue to be walked on. This will also gauge how much she wants this marriage. Good luck. I'm pretty sure you know what she's still hiding, even if she doesn't say it. It's time for you to get out of this and get away from her. No kids together means you can cut her out and never see her again. Time to lawyer up and secure what is yours. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for any future cheating stories.